Hi, it's Handy Val Auto. Here I am sitting in my 92 Mercedes SL R129. Here is my original Becker stereo. It's worked fine until recently. The cassette player still works and sounds good from all speakers. But the AM/FM signal, I no longer get a signal whatsoever from any of the local radio stations. I don't even get a weak signal off some of the stronger stations that give off the best signal. I think I know what the problem is and what part needs to be replaced, and I'll be showing that in this video, and I'll also mention the dreaded E2 problem. That's where E2 is shown here. But first, let's focus on the AM/FM problem first. In an earlier video, I updated my bass amplifier, which is located in the passenger side wheel well, just under there. I'll post the link in the video description for those of you interested. I was a bit stumped by this AM/FM problem, but somewhat relieved as I realized that the cassette player still worked, as I mentioned earlier, so I thought this could be an easy fix. It's likely an antenna wire connection at the back of the head unit that must have gotten loose. So what I did, I decided to naturally pull out the head unit, and I'll do that now. So I naturally pulled it out, made sure that all these connections are properly done, and you know, they were. There was nothing loose. I know there's this guy here that comes loose, but this has nothing to do with anything. Anti-theft, I believe, but it doesn't. It makes nothing whatsoever. So I thought, okay, well, there you go. There's nothing wrong there. So at this point, I focused my attention to the AMFM Tuner. Now in these Beckers, the tuner transmitter isn't located in the head unit. It's located near the antenna. So here I am in the trunk. I removed the carpeting already so you get a clear view. So I naturally thought, well, maybe I should point to it, that is the AM/FM transmitter unit. So I naturally thought it could be one of those cables. Maybe they're loose. Became disconnected, and so I fiddled with them a bit, and no luck whatsoever. And for those of you interested here as well, it's, you know, those who don't get back here too often, you actually see the Herschel antenna right there through that little hole there, and you could actually get to the whole unit back there, and you could actually see the rod of the antenna there. But anyways, you know, my attention focused on this unit right here. So I thought, let me open this up and see if there's anything fried or some kind of bad solder. So I did, and I'll show it here. Now to remove this unit, there's I forget what it was, there's a 10mm nut right here that has to be loosened that connects this bracket and this bracket onto the transmitter here. And then once you disconnect it, this whole thing could easily come out. So there it is, and then this whole unit kind of just easily comes out, quite easy access for it to come out, and then you start just disconnecting everything. There's surprisingly a number of units, or a number of connections onto this. And as you can see, here's the CD player. Now, the CD player has never worked in this car. I've kind of disconnected it here. It's a little bit easier in terms of its connection to the system, but this one actually has a lot of wires here. So anyways, we got this thing out, and what I did do, I opened it up, and I'm going to show you that a bit, how it looks on the inside, to see if there's anything I could be done. So let's take it over to a small bench here. Okay, so here's the unit. I mean, there's also a fuse here. This one comes out. You could check that out as well if it's got any issues. I think this controls the whole unit, this fuse. This fuse was okay in my condition. Now, what's happening here is they're a little bit held together by some of these little tension pieces. You got to kind of loosen them up a bit, and in a few spots, and then this whole kind of top unit just comes off, and it exposes the interior of it. Now, what I did realize is that some of these pieces, now I don't know what all this is or what it's all about. I know these pieces kind of, like, as you can tell, they kind of do come out, so I decided to disconnect. There's actually a little screw over there on some of these, and I tried that, And I used deoxit on some of these, thinking that maybe some of these things could be corroded, but they're actually very clean, and thought maybe it could be a bad connection or not. So I kind of put all these kind of back into play. Further, what I did do, I got to the back side of the unit as well. Again, all this is very much by tension, and it kind of exposed this part of it. Again, I'm looking for a bad solder or whatnot. I mean, there's some corrosion there as well. And what I did do with the deoxit, I did spray down some of this and waited for it to dry. Put everything back together and put it back in the car. It made no difference. Didn't really do anything. I kept it in the car for a couple of weeks. Been driving around for the last few weeks. Thought that, you know, maybe let deoxit do its thing. Maybe it has to do with the heat, cold, whatnot, etc. But nothing brought this unit back to life. So it's probably something wrong that I can't figure out. So I thought, you know, maybe it could be the antenna, but I should still get a low or somewhat weak signal with or without the antenna properly connected. I mean, this is just AM/FM. You know, you don't necessarily even need the antenna. You need an antenna to get a very good signal, but you don't need it to get a quasi-decent signal. So that likely wasn't at fault. So at this point, I decided to scour eBay for a used yet working part, and this morning it arrived from a California eBay vendor, a used yet working part. It wasn't cheap, but it wasn't overly expensive either. It was about $100 US with delivery. And you could tell, in this case, I mean, it looks like it's in decent shape. Interesting enough, this eBay provider did put kind of like these void if removed tags on, and it looks a little bit worse shape than mine, to be honest, in terms of cleanliness. But you know, this one is supposed to be working, so let's put this one into position and see what we get. Some of these, as you could tell, they're kind of color-coded, right? There's the black, goes with the black, the white goes with the white. Okay, so it looks like I got everything connected there. I didn't necessarily put the screw back in yet. I just want to make sure things are working. Let's give it a try. Let's go back in the car, turn the stereo on, and let's see what happens. Let's see what happens here. Yeah, we've got signal here, everybody. Looks like AM works fairly decent. It's a pretty rough signal here in the garage. So it looks like we fixed our problem here. All right, so it works. I'm happy. It's, I guess, maybe money well spent. I don't know, but at least I've got this thing working. And let me show you what happens now. Some of you, sometimes you get that E2 signal here in terms of what it means. I've never had it before, but I realized as I was taking parts, loosening up some of the wires there in the FM transmitter, I realized what the M2 actually means, and I'm going to create that scenario right now for you. So here I am back. Let's just try to disconnect one of these. Okay, so there you go. That's just disconnected. Let's go back and see what we get. So there you go. Do you see the E2 there? Takes a while. It doesn't always come on. Kind of comes on, comes off. But that effectively means that you've got a loose connection somewhere, and you've got to be able to take care of it. So can sometimes be quite an easy fix. Sometimes you're going over different bumps. Through times, these connectors kind of loosen up and they disconnect. So that can be an easy fix. So I've converted the Becker to have some Bluetooth capability with this little thing here called a Bluetooth transmitter. This thing plugs into your lighter, and what it tries to do is that your phone connects via Bluetooth to this, and then through the FM signal, as you can see here, you kind of program it, is 87.6. it goes from here to the stereo 87.6, and you've got some quite basic Bluetooth functionality. At this point now I could play my music, so my music from my phone, and even calls, go to this Bluetooth transmitter, and then from here to the head unit, to the FM transmitter, would play my music through the system. It actually sounds reasonably okay. It's a little bit cumbersome, absolutely. Are there better solutions by getting the Bluetooth capability embedded in your Becker system? Absolutely. It's probably a better choice. But this is obviously an affordable choice, as these, something like this only costs $20 again, but it's a bit cumbersome. But certainly worth it for those of you who don't use the car too often and maybe don't want to spring for the extra dollars to buy a Becker unit already with the Bluetooth capability. Thanks for watching Handy Val. Please like, share, and subscribe, and comment. Also, please check out my library for many more R129 related videos and Mercedes videos. Bye for now. Handy Val.